My guest today is podcaster and so many other things, Damien Ellison. Welcome, Damien.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Sure. So before we get into all the things you do, can you tell us who is Damien Ellison?
Well, Damien Ellison is your son, and I am a husband, I am a father, I am a podcaster, I'm a local worship leader here in Atlanta. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, I want to get into the podcasting a bit since, this is still the podcast trade. But before I start to do that, tell me what inspired you. What has been your biggest challenge in life? Number one, and number two, how are you on a daily basis working on overcoming those challenges?
My biggest challenge. I think lately my biggest challenge is like stepping out of the system or stepping out of the status quo and just like doing me. Like, and the system could be a number of things. It could be the regular job system, or it could be the industry, so to speak, whatever industry that looks like, and just being willing to like do my own versus being plugged in. I mean, it has so many different, um, like, what's what I'm looking for? Like, I can relate it in so many different ways right now in my life. So just being unplugged from the system and really kind of doing my own thing, that's probably my biggest challenge. And what was the second question? Oh, how am I
Oh,
working on overcoming it?
yeah.
Um, well, I don't know. Just saying yes to myself, and forcing myself to say no to everything else. I'm so used to saying yes to a job or yes to another job, and no to what's in me to do. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so that's been challenging because saying yes to a job comes with regular financial security. Whereas saying no to a job and yes to entrepreneurship is like, okay, well, you got to build yourself up, or you have to, take baby steps before you get to a regular check. You know what I mean? So that's,
Mm-hmm.
Lord have mercy, that's like a whole thing by itself. But I think I owe it to myself. I talked about betting on yourself in my first podcast episode, and I think I had that responsibility and that right to bet on myself versus betting on other people and what they have to offer. And so that's what I'm pushing to do, is say no to everything else and everyone else, and yes to me.
Got it. Yeah. So what I hear in the challenges is that you've had to unplug yourself from the herd mentality and living a more individualized life. Because when God calls us, He doesn't call family, He doesn't call crowds, He doesn't call a group, He calls you, right?
Right.
And so you've I'm hearing that you're learning to develop a sense of self regarding your connection to God and your purpose or your life, your life work.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're
All
welcome.
right. So podcasting. First, tell us about the podcast, and then I'll ask you some more questions.
So Elevate, spelled Ellivate, comes from my last name, Ellison. And it's kind of a play on words, a play on the word elevate, which is basically to kind of, rise or come up, so to speak. I look at it more of kind of like maturity, forward progression, but also, um, I don't know, like just like being able to apply a biblical worldview to things that's going on in the culture, applying it to marriage, applying it to religion or Christianity, applying it to parenting, whatever comes up. And so just being able to apply scripture and the Bible to everything that life has to offer. And quite honestly, just being able to kind of step up, like kind of step my game up and um, do better, so to speak, or live better, or treat people better, or talk better, whatever that is.
Okay, pretty cool. And Elevate, we put a link in the show notes for people to listen to and watch because you also or on YouTube. So yeah.
I
All
appreciate
right.
that.
Yeah, of course. Um, the other thing is, well, I guess I want to dig into your psyche when it comes to podcasting. What kind of struggles, what was it like um wanting to start a podcast? How long did it take you to actually hit publish? And what was going through your mind during that time up to when you hit publish? Because it's a lot of us struggle with that as podcasters. So tell us your journey.
Well, I first got the idea in like July 2022. And at that time, I was like, okay, cool. I got an idea to do a podcast, but I didn't want to do it because I felt like the industry is already saturated with plenty of podcasts and plenty of opinions. And so, what is my opinion going to bring to an already saturated place, right? But late last year, I kind of felt the nudge, like, okay, go ahead and go ahead and do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then like January this year, it consumed my mind. So these days, anything that consumes my mind like that, I got to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just hit record, and I didn't wait to publish it. I waited a few days, and I published it immediately. I published it on my birthday, February 13th of this year. And so like leading up to it, I mean, I was probably nervous, I'm sure, just because I don't podcast, I don't talk. People know me for singing. People know me
Mm-hmm.
for writing songs. People don't know me for speaking or anything like that. So I was nervous because, like I said, I don't do it. I don't speak about stuff. I mean, in conversation, yes, but publicly, no, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
And so that I was a little nervous just because how people receive Damien in this new space. Not so much worried about numbers necessarily until the numbers started coming in, and I was like, oh. But so yeah, probably nervous. But I know what I bring to the table. I know what I
Mm-hmm.
bring to the culture apart from everyone else. So I'm not really trying to compare my podcast to the next podcast. I'm not looking to compare my content to the next person's content, even though I know that certain people that I follow, we talk about the same stuff, but they're on a different level. They already have millions of downloads and I have a few hundred, so it's okay. I'll still do it, so
Yeah, I
yeah.
do ask that question because it's one of the things we struggle with when we get something downloaded to us to do. We question, whether we're one worthy and who are we. But then the second thing we do, we start looking out and, coming up with reasons why, your stuff don't work because all the other stuff's working. But one of the things I like to say is that there's no competition in podcasting. There could be 10 million podcasters out there, but none of them are you.
Right,
And the message you're getting isn't the same message I'm getting, even
right,
if we're talking about the same topic. And that's the
right.
point I want to get out is that what you're talking about is unique because it's coming from your unique perspective.
Exactly. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and the husband and wife do the podcast together, but they were talking about womanhood, and the wife was talking about how not only does she preach, but her personality and her as a woman shape how she views what she's preaching about or what she's teaching about. So
Hmm.
and so that helps shape the message, but it also can help shape like who comes and listens to the message too. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't think I think we do ourselves a disservice to not do something that God is telling us to do, especially if it's public. Because I'm like, everyone else is just as human as the rest of us, so it's
Yeah.
like, why not? You know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, pretty good.
hmm
And how far have you reached in your podcasting journey? Like how many episodes?
I think I recorded my 16th episode, no, 17th episode last
Okay.
week.
Yeah, just starting. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That you only started in February and I should tell you that about almost 90% of podcasters who start don't make it past an episode. So
Oh wow.
you're like in the top 10 percentile.
Oh nice.
Yeah, that's why I
Mm,
ask you that. So yeah. All right. So that's you as a podcaster. I want to talk about you as an author because you've also published a book. And as your mom, I tend to have a little bit more inside knowledge than most people. So
right.
tell us about your book and where we could find it to get it. So just go into a little bit about it, and if you want, as much as you want to.
So my book is called Reign, Reign, My Story, and how to
Mm-hmm.
live victoriously over sexual immorality. You can find it on Amazon.com or Barnes and Noble, and .com. And it's about like it looks at my story as far as a single person up to marriage and how I navigated through my temptation with sex and before marriage and things like that. But it also tells the reader how to overcome sexual temptation. So that's basically the gist of it. It didn't start out to be a book of that magnitude. It started out as something else, but it kind of like evolved into it over the course of the years leading up to its release. I released it like in, oh God, 2021, 2022, something like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I told you at the beginning that Damien is a podcaster, but he's a lot more things. So we're going to get into more of those things. I have another podcast called Solo Moms Talk, and the intro music is from Damien's first single. So tell us about your music, what you're doing now, and what's your latest work.
Oh man, so music is a passion of mine that I've been singing since I was a kid, but not in public until I got to college. And so when I graduated grad school 10 years ago, a few months later, I released my first single called Desperate. And then I released another single in 2017 called Crazy, and an additional single in 2018 called Seek the Face of God. I took a break, took a hiatus, and now I'm in the process of preparing for a live recording in November. I am so excited about this live recording because I've been silent over the years and stuff like that, but I think that my experiences relate to this new music and what's going on in the culture. So that live recording is happening here in Atlanta on November 7th. And so I am so excited about that live recording because I know that I have something valuable to bring to the music industry. And I don't think the world is ready, especially the Christian space. I don't think the Christian space is really ready for what I think they're ready, but I don't think I'm ready. Let me say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I flipped it a little bit is because I've been tired of the same sounding music since undergrad, and that was 2010. And now, 15 years later, it still sounds the same. And so my music doesn't sound like everyone else. There are elements of the way pop culture or CCM or gospel music sounds that's into my music because I listen to it. So there's a little bit of influence there, yes. But the way I write and the way I play is purposely different because I don't like to sound like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just another way that God has wired me to get His word out. And yeah, I'm just excited about it.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
really excited about it. And so
Yeah.
you can actually follow me on YouTube at Undignified DE. Um, no, Undignified Sound DE. Sorry.
Okay.
Um, and just be on the lookout for what's to come.
All right, cool. So we'll add that to the list, the link. So,
Mm-hmm.
people click on that. Yeah, thank you. Exciting stuff. So what is Damien grateful for today?
Hmm. I am grateful for freedom. It kind of ties into not being plugged into the system. So what I mean by freedom is freedom to be me. Um, I'm not bound by anyone's opinions and whatever they think about me. I could care less these days. And I think that what I've had to endure has related to that kind of I don't care mentality. And so I'm grateful for freedom.
Awesome. Pretty good. All right. So, I'm coming close to the end, but I always ask my guests to give 3 tips to someone who has a message and think that their message should be through a podcast. But like most of us, they're scared, hesitant, have a bunch of reasons. Give 3 tips to somebody who just hasn't quite gotten to the place to obey.
Number one, don't afraid to be yourself. Um, Number two ties into the first one, be original. Um, Number three, do it anyway.
Amen. Okay. All right. Any parting shots? Any final say?
Um, I don't, man, just be you, man. Like to anyone who wants to do a podcast or anything else for that matter, write a book, write a song. I don't know. Just be yourself. Don't be afraid to be original. Because the world has a lot of copycats, but the world doesn't have you. And
Yeah.
so, I think it's just important just to be yourself. Don't be afraid to tell your story, and let people read it through whatever that looks like. Whether that's a podcast, a song, a book, a business, you name it. Because I think there's a lot of people that are creative, but they just don't know how to tap into that creativity, or they're just scared to release that creativity through whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
because it's easy to do what is expected or what's of the system because it's secure.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, I don't think we realize the type of security that could come by being free to be you through whatever that
Mm-hmm.
looks like. And I know it, and like I said, it does take time to build an audience. It does take time to make money, but I think you'll feel better, and you won't be miserable. I say it like that. If you're doing what God has called you to do. I was listening to, um, who was I listening to yesterday? I listened to another podcast, ironically, and this popular gospel artist was talking about venturing on to do something new that he hasn't done before. And he mentioned how that's probably why I'm miserable because I'm not doing the new venture. And so I think it's important that you embrace like whatever that new is that looks like for you, especially if you've been in a situation for a long time and you just feel crappy about it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, why not step out there? You stepped out and did that, but now you're miserable. So, like, what gives you joy? Like, what excites you when you wake up in the morning? Or throughout the day? What are you thinking about all the time? That's probably what you should be doing. So, do it.
Yep, ladies and gentlemen, that's my firstborn. Thank you. Thank you for coming and talking to us. And I am excited to share this interview with my
I'm
audience.
excited to listen to it. Thank you, Mom. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah, Lord. So what do you think? Did you hang
Do
up?
you
Oh, you didn't hang up.